Good morning, viewers. Today I am present before you with the famous work of Edmund Spenser, The Faerie Queene. Today's podcast will be discussing The Faerie Queene as an allegory. Before I begin the podcast, it is advisable that you keep a notebook and a pen so that you can jot down the important points relating to this particular topic. It is further advisable to use earplugs for listening to the podcast. So here I begin. Like Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, The Faerie Queene is a fragment. Spenser projected 12 books, out of which 6 appeared in his lifetime, and the portions of the 7th after his death. Spenser's purpose, as indicated in a letter to Raleigh, which introduces the poem, is as follows. I quote, "To portray Arthur before he was king, the image of a brave knight, perfected in the 12 private moral virtues, as Aristotle had devised, which is the purpose of the first 12 books, which if I find to be well accepted, I may be perhaps encouraged to frame the other part of politic virtues after that he came to be king." Unquote. Each of the virtues appears as a knight fighting his opposing vice, and the poem tells the story of the conflicts. Spenser completed only 6 books, celebrating holiness, temperance, chastity, friendship, justice, and courtesy. The fragment of the 7th book deals with constancy. The first 3 books are by far the best. Prince Arthur is the central character in Faerie Queene. He appears at critical moments in the poem. He marries Gloriana, the queen of the fairyland, in the end. The appearance of Arthur at a critical moment in each of these stories was specially devised as a link between one part and another of the gigantic design. Albert remarks, I quote, "The plot is exceedingly elaborate and leisurely. It is crammed with incident and digression, and by the 5th book it is palpably weakening. It is therefore no misfortune, as far as plot is concerned, that only half of the story is finished." Unquote. It is one of the most remarkable allegories in the Renaissance poetry. The allegory is clear in the first 2 books. Afterwards, it is troubled with digressions, sub-allegories, genealogies, with anything that Spenser's fancy led him to introduce. Stories are dropped and never taken up again, and the whole tale is so bungled that it loses its narrative interest. But it retains the interest as an exquisite allegory. The Faerie Queene, writes Hudson, I quote, "is not simply a romance, it is a didactic romance. The poet, throughout using his stories as vehicles of the lessons he wished to convey, he carries out his purpose by turning romance into allegory." Unquote. Spenser does not excel either as an allegorist or as a writer of romance, but he is incomparable as a showman of pageants. He skillfully and picturesquely describes scenes and sights of nature, scenes of bloody fights, characters, both human and superhuman, buildings, caves, months of the year, and the rivers of England. His consummate descriptive power is seen at its best in The Faerie Queene, a picture gallery rarely to be matched in the entire range of Elizabethan literature. Spenser is a matchless painter in words. His word pictures are colorful, concrete, vivid, and beautiful. Courthope rightly remarks that as we read The Faerie Queene, a dreamlike succession of pageants and dissolving views of forests, lakes, knights and ladies, caves and palaces rises before our mind's eye in a concrete image. He is a great colorist. When Spenser purports to draw a person or a scene from nature, he is inspired by the painter's method. As we read The Faerie Queene, a beautiful panorama of fleeting images and pictures rises before our eyes. Ireland provided him with picture of the little mountain path of trodden grass, where Lady Una meets Ebessa. The vivid pictures of the sea are all inspired by intimate personal observation of the stormy Irish Sea. Hence, his pictures are vivid and accurate. Mark the vividity, the accuracy, and the sensuous beauty in the following word picture. I quote, "And forth they pass with pleasure forward led, joying to hear the birds' sweet harmony, which therein shrouded from the tempest died, seemed in their song to scorn the cruel sky. Much can they praise the tree so straight and high, the sailing pine, the cedar proud and tall, the vine prop elm, the poplar never dry, the builder oak, sole king of forests all, their spine good for staves, the cypress funeral." Spenser's contribution to poetic style, diction, and versification is again memorable. Renwick points out, I quote, "He treated the English language as if it belonged to him and to it." Unquote. He coined new words, imported many from France and Italy, and saved many obsolete words from oblivion. Spenser evolved a true poetic style which the succeeding generations of English poets used. He is truly the poet maker who inspired others to achieve greatness in the field. Renwick says that Shakespeare himself might not have achieved so much if Spenser had not lived and labored. J.R. Lowell writes about his contribution, I quote, "But no man contributed so much to the transformation of style and language as Spenser, for not only did he deliberately endeavour at reform, but by the charm of his diction, the novel harmonies of his verse, his ideal method of treatment, and the splendour of his fancy, he made the new manner popular and fruitful. His rich and voluptuous style was followed by almost all his successors. The Faerie Queene stands unrivalled in English for beauty, long and richly wrought, for subtle and sustained melody, for graphic word pictures, and for depth and magical colour of atmosphere. Milton, Keats, and Tennyson follow in his footsteps, and his influence is still powerful. Spenser is peerless in adroitly developing the vowel music and fine poetic cadences. The graphical power and the melodic beauty of his poetry is unsurpassable. The introduction of Spenserian stanza, which has been admired by countless critics and imitated by all the poets since its introduction, is his most remarkable contribution. This is a 9-line stanza running A B A B B C B C C, the last line being what is called an Alexandrine or line of 6 iambic feet instead of 5. The genesis of this stanza is uncertain, but it is probable that Spenser evolved it by simply adding the Alexandrine to Chaucer's 8-line stave, which is A B A B B C B C of the Monk's Tale. Albert writes, I quote, "The complicated rhymes of the stanza suit the interwoven harmonies of the style, and the long line at the end acts either as a dignified conclusion or as a longer and stronger link with the succeeding stanza. The alliteration, vowel music, and cadence are cunningly fashioned, adroitly developed, and sumptuously appropriate. Spenser is great because of the extraordinary smoothness and melody of his verse and the richness of his language, a golden diction which he drew from every source, new words, old words, and obsolete words." So this was a small note on Faerie Queene as an allegory, along with how Spenser employed his style and versification in the great poem. I hope this podcast proved to be of help in making you understand the Faerie Queene in a better way. Please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and also mention your questions and observations in the comment section below. Thank you for your valuable time. Here's wishing you a great day ahead.